as the saying goes, he'll take what the defense gives him. So schematically, that's a big difference between Foles and Wentz. Foles does not take a lot of sacks, and even against a fierce Bears pass rush last week, he got hit a lot, but he only went down one time. So I think the Saints are going to prepare a little bit differently for this Philadelphia offense as a result of that this time around.
Yeah, and when you face somebody again, there's a big advantage. I'm thinking of like when the Chargers and Ravens played last week. You know, the Chargers were not prepared for what the Ravens were doing that first time they played, but the second time they were able to make adjustments. And so, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's another 48-7 game. Do you still see the Saints coming out ahead though?
I do. I do. This team has played with a chip on its shoulder and razor sharp focus all year long. They still sting after the way that their season ended last year, that last second playoff loss in Minnesota. And they know that this could be one of the last windows of championship opportunity for Breeze. And before this core of young players, before their contracts start to come up, and they can't afford to pay everybody. So they have had a really sharp focus all year long. Peyton is a master at motivation. A story broke out in New Orleans earlier today. He came into the locker room with 4 armed security guards, the Lombardi Trophy, $225,000 in cash, and said, "This is what you guys get if you win the Super Bowl." And I'll spare you the expletive that he used. He goes, "If you want it, win 3 blankety blank games." And the locker room erupted into laughter. But these guys know what it takes to get the job done in the postseason. They do have a handful of players like Breeze and most of that coaching staff that knows what it takes to go all the way. And I think they're going to come out with a very imaginative game plan, challenges Philadelphia Eagles defense offensively. And then defensively, I think that they're still going to pressure Foles and expect that their front 4 and front 7 aggressiveness are going to force him into a couple mistakes. Philadelphia is really a one-dimensional offense. They have a pretty punchless running game, and the Saints have a top-ranked run defense anyway. So I think the matchup really comes down to how quickly they can get pressure on Foles and how well that Saints secondary can hold up in coverage. Wouldn't surprise me if Philadelphia does make some plays to stay in the game. They are, after all, the defending champs, and they aren't going down without a fight, as we've seen over the last month. But it is so tough to come into that Superdome and win, even when the Saints have a mediocre team. And this is one of the best teams that Sean Payton has ever had, if not the best talented on paper. So I do see the Saints coming away with this, probably by a couple of scores.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, sir. Thank you so much. Bob Rose, he's at BobbyR2613 on Twitter. Covers the Saints for Canal Street Chronicles and host of the Bayou Blitz podcast. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Hopefully we can do this again soon. Maybe like in Atlanta
next week.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. All right, man. I'll see you.
Take care.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the division games. Thanks again to Jesse Reeves, Tom Murphy, Matt Greeley, and Bob Rose. Talk to you later. Another episode is in the bag.